This is the seventh part of the Unborn Levels of Scientology. I am Abe Zucca. You can Google the name Abe Zucca if you want to look at some of my art. Go on my website, zuccagallery.com. Go on Instagram or Facebook. My YouTube subscription is very low, but don't let that fool you. I'm slowly building a following. So let's begin the Unborn Levels of Scientology, written by me, Abe Zucca. Let's start with the cosmotechnical static, theta, motion, and the spherology of living worlds. All life is a negotiation between stillness and motion. The world's substrate is a static dreaming of movement. To survive is to generate order in the great atmospheric turbulence of matter. The static in the first light. Theta as primordial stillness, life as a unique cosmotechnical property. Before all universes, there is the static, a clear, unextended stillness, whose peculiar property is potentiality itself, a pre-logical Titan light prior to the carving of space, the igniting of suns, or the stirring of organisms. The static does not enter the universe, rather the universe impinges upon it, creating an interface, a membrane where pure potential touches chaotic motion. This membrane is what later cultures call spirit, psyche, soul, mind, atom, and roch. Where the static touches matter, the drama of survival begins, for motion becomes the grammar of cosmic persistence, and organisms become vessels that let the static taste the turbulence of space-time. Life is the static's experiment with animation, a long gesture in which formlessness acquires limbs, eyes, nervous systems, architectures of attention, structures capable of translating stillness into direct motion. Matter, energy, space, and time, and the oppositional elements. Matter, energy, space, time as a primordial resistance that gives form to life. The physical universe is nothing but pattern, motion, waves in space, sequences in time, energy in transit. A colossal oscillatory machinery whose resistance is what makes life perceptible at all. Life achieves self-recognition by wrestling with matter, energy, space, and time, learning its contours, mastering its flows, bending its hardness into forms compatible with survival. Chaos is merely motion without aim, and the static's first task is to articulate a path through the unaligned turbulence, to carve channels where survival, concordance movements become possible. Every organism is a negotiation between two immensities, the purity of the static and the wild resistance of matter, energy, space, and time. The organism is the compromise, the translator, the fragile spherological chamber where stillness and storm learn to coexist. The embryotic Titan. Life organisms as intermediaries, converters, and world shapers. Each living organism is a matter, energy, space, time shell animated by the static. A sheath flame, a Titan seed, an atmospheric converter that metabolizes sunlight and chemical flows into the possibility of further order. Life evolves not by accident, by iterative refinement of movement, generating ever more complex converters that turn raw physical motion into directed survival. Cells and viruses are the primordial workshops, tiny factories where the statics first learn to manipulate matter. Higher organisms are merely the complex cities built atop the ancient microbial guilds. Lambda, the principle of living aggregation, is the static's method of conquering space. building relational architectures, colonies, organ systems, ecological webs that amplify intention across time, motion, optimum flow, and the tempo of survival. Reason, calculation, and the harmonies of motion. To think is to calculate motion. Thought is the static's means of estimating vectors, forces, resistances, mental motion mirroring physical motion. Reason's true aim is the establishment of optimum motion, a harmonics in which effort is either wasteful nor insufficient, but tuned to the organism's survival arc. All excess or deficiency in motion, too fast, too slow, results in disorder, for the organism's narrow tolerance requires a perpetual dance with thermal and mechanical limits. Attention is the organism's gyroscope, its mechanism for stabilizing motion. When attention sweeps widely or refuses to move, survival falters and the internal spherology collapses. Survival in the dynamic of worlds. Multiscalar drives, self, sex, group, species, life, universe, static, supreme. Survival radiates through nested spheres, self, pair bond, group, species, biosphere, cosmos. Each dynamic a widening atmospheric bubble through which the organism extends its concern. Every dynamic is a different geometry of motion, from the cell's contraction to the species' expansion, each one governed by its own vectors of preservation, alignment, and threat. To survive is to coordinate motion across these spheres, aligning one's own trajectory with those of kin, tribe, species, and world, creating a coherent spherology of enduring presence. To succumb is to misalign, to permit randomity, countermotion, and turbulence to overcome the organism's fragile harmonics. Randomity, chaos knots, and the engrammatic storm. The origin of the engram, trauma, unconsciousness, and occlusion. Randomity is the intrusion of misaligned motion, a turbulence that overwhelms the organism's control center. It is the storm front of existence, necessary in moderation, destructive in excess. Engrams are the densest knots of this turbulence, moments where randomity becomes so intense that awareness collapses, leaving behind facsimiles of force, perception, and emotion shock, fused into a single atomic scar. Unconsciousness is not absence, but overload, a surplus of randomity so violent that the mind's ability to maintain spatial temporal differentiation collapses. All aberration is the residue of storm motion, the lingering patterns of these chaos knots reactivated by similarity, analogy, repetition, a past environmental storm erupting inside the present one. Re-stimulation is atmospheric resonance, the way similar winds reawaken dormant storms, pulling old randomities into the now, distorting perception, motion, and self-determinism. Mind control and the sense center, theta's command post, and the nature of recall, emotion, symbolic action. The mind is the static's command center within the organism, its navigational chamber in the hurricane of matter, energy, space, and time, receiving perceptions, calculating motion, storing facsimiles. All perception is total, even when the control center is impaired. The organism records everything, but its recall may be occluded by distance, randomity, or chaos residues. Thought reconstructs past and present in order to predict future vectors, generating symbolic facsimiles. Language, imagery, emotion, the encode, effort, and counter-effort. Emotion is motion, an effective flow shaped by engrams. Free emotional response requires optimal randomity, neither rigidity nor overwhelm. Self-determinism arises when affinity, reality, and communication align. forming a coherent spherological atmosphere where the organism can choose motion rather than be driven by external or internal storms. Axioms of pain, loss, and the vectorial economy of life. Pain as blocked motion, pleasure as successful alignment. Pleasure is the smooth acceleration of survival vectors, the harmonious synchronization of organisms and environment. Pain is balked effort, the resistance of counterforce powerful enough to impede motion. All pain is reduction of freedom, narrowing of possible trajectories. Loss is always a loss of motion, whether of body, relationship, group, meaning, or future. The static grieves when its vectors collapse. Freedom expands with motion, with the acquisition of pro-survival energies, allies, spaces, and temporal horizons. It contracts with the accumulation of anti-survival vectors. Time, fate, and the future sphere. Time is only true arbitrary. The dimension imposed by matter, learned by organisms, and mastered only when the static maintains alignment with motion. Survival belongs to the future, for only the future contains open trajectories. The past is static, the present is a knife edge. The future is the spherological expansion where life breathes. Succumbing is fixation in past or present. The loss of future, computation, psychosis, becomes past only. Neurosis, present only. Sanity is future calculation. Happiness is the perception of future survival vectors. The sensed possibility of continued motion across expanding dynamics. Balance, shadow, and the Titanic mask. Engrammatic personalities, machine ghosts, and the doubling of the self. A valence is a shadow person the organisms inherits from moments of overwhelmingness. A titan's face impressed upon the organism when randomity was too great. A ghost mask formed from counter-effort. Valences are not illusions but atmospheric residue, foreign weather systems trapped inside the organism's control sphere, reactivated whenever similarities invites their storm patterns back into motion. Each valence carries with it the emotional climate of its birth, and so the organisms may weep a stranger's tear, rage with a stranger's heat, or retreat with a stranger's fear without recognizing the origin. The organism becomes whole only when it represses its climate, withdrawing energy from its titan mask and dissolving these atmospheric parasites back into the static source of motion. Control, self-determination, and the navigator. The control center, its relation to theta, and its spherological authority. Control center is the organism's helm, the contact point where the static steers its matter-energy space-time ship, receiving all perceptions even when overwhelmed, even when unconscious, even when displaced. Self-determinism is the ability to steer one's internal atmosphere, to choose motion rather than be blown by inherited winds, valences, and grams or counterforces. Every impairment of control is a weather event, a randomity storm that temporarily seizes the helm, speaking with the voice of past counter-efforts, compelling motion without present consent. The sovereign organism is one whose helm is reclaimed, whose internal sky has been cleared and accumulated turbulence, who can chart motion across the 8 dynamics without distortion. Communication, affinity, reality, spherological equilibrium, and the triune architecture of understanding. Affinity is the cohesion of atmospheres, the recognition of similar winds across organisms, and emotional isobar drawing beings into relational nearness. Reality is the agreement of perceptions, the overlapping of world models, the shared weather map that allows 2 or more organisms to inhabit one spherological field. Communication is the flow of perception between spheres, the exchange of weather, impressions, patterns, tones. Without communication, no atmosphere can be jointly sustained. Affinity, reality, and communication forms a triune atmospheric architecture where changes in one corner reshape the other two. Higher affinity widens reality, deeper communication refines affinity, clearer reality stabilizes communication. Self-determinism is maximal ARC, affinity reality communication, the dynamic ability to generate, sustain, and recalibrate atmospheres across all 8 dynamics. Pain, loss, and counter-effort, vector resistance, engramic heat, and atmospheric collapse. Pain is counter-effort concentrated, a density of opposition so sudden that the organism's motion is halted or disorganized. Loss is frozen motion, the immobilized residue of thwarted survival vectors. The psychic mourns not objects but trajectories. Counter-effort engrams itself with the organism's motion cannot dissipate the impact, imprinting a pattern of turbulence that remains long after the event. Every pain seeks resolution through remotion, a return to flow. The organism's attempt to move again through terrains where motion was once blocked or reversed. Recall, facsimiles, and the layered universe. Memory as atmospheric reconstitution, facsimiles as weather snapshots. Every perception is stored completely as a full atmospheric facsimile of the moment. It forces sensations, spatial shapes, emotional currents, and vector pressures. Recall is an atmospheric reconstruction, the reinvocation of a stored climate by the control center. Occlusion arises only when turbulence blocks the pathway. Facsimiles are not images alone, but force diagrams, preserved kinetic patterns of the universe as it's impressed itself onto the organism at the moment of perception. Aberration arises when past climates invade the present, imposing their pressure systems upon the current environment, confusing spatial and temporal positions. The organism becomes free when it can record its facsimiles, reassigning them to their correct region in the time sphere, dissolving randomity and restoring navigational clarity. Axioms of learning, randomity, and the vector of growth. Learning through turbulence, the necessity of optimum chaos. All learning is a translation of randomity into order. The static's ongoing project of converting turbulence into patterned survival vectors. Optimum randomity is the sweet spot of growth. The atmospheric tension where challenge does not overwhelm and stability does not stagnate. Too little randomity calcifies the organisms, producing rigidity, dullness, and repetitive motion. The atmosphere becomes inert. Too much randomity shatters the organisms, producing overwhelm, engrammatic storms, and loss of spatial temporal coherence. Wisdom is turbulence mastered, the organism's ability to absorb randomity without dissolving its structure.